Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Hello, everybody. Welcome, friends, to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes, and you better get your pens ready as we have an amazing show today where we're going to be talking about, you ready? Environmental health. Okay, really. We're going to be talking about the air and what's in it, whether you can see it or not. And I am super excited to have our guest on with us, as she is an ecologist and she has specialized in things of the environment, including what you see up in the air. Is it a cloud? Is it a plane? Is it aerosols? We're going to find out in just a few minutes. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Just something new that's going to happen. If you would like to join us live, we're going to start sending out invitations. And that invitation is going to confirm you as an individual, an individual that really wants to be here and not cause trouble. And you can request your invitation to the show and confirm your email address by sending us an email to zoom@dailywithdoc.com. Again, that is Zoom, the @ dailywithdoc.com. This program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, where you're going to find more information about us. You're going to find some eating recommendations. You're going to find some things that are filling in the gaps when it comes to our nutrition. And that is another thing that I love about our guest that we have on with us, as she is a certified functional nutrition counselor as well. So get back with the person that shared this program with you. because I know we have some amazing coaches who use this program to help educate themselves and their clients and their family and their loved ones into the importance of how we really, really need to pay attention. Now, my name is Becca Dukes. I am a certified naturopathic practitioner. I'm a certified holistic health coach, and I'm also the director of student services for the Institute of Holistic Health. And it's my passion to empower you with knowledge and resources that support vibrant whole body wellness. Now, as I said earlier, this program is titled Your Air and the Toxins Seen and Unseen. We often think about what we eat or what we drink, but are we really paying attention to what is actually in our air, whether we can see it or especially those hidden factors? So joining us today, we have someone who knows this topic inside and out, Joanna Kappele. She is an environmental health and healthy home specialist. She's an author. As I said, she's a certified functional nutrition counselor. She's working on becoming a certified holistic health coach, but she is also an ecologist. So she's going to tell us a little more about that. As an author, she has written 2 very insightful books, Filter Your Water Now and The Green Handbook, Earth and Health. Now, these are 2 that she's already published, and I know she has more to come, so you want to make sure you look her up and follow her. She is on LinkedIn, she's on Facebook, and even Amazon, folks. That's where you can get those 2 books. And she is also the founder of Hippocrates Organic Teas, the director of Adore Your Planet, and the managing broker of Adore Your Home Realty. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive into those hidden dangers in the air around us, practical ways that we can improve our own air quality to create a healthier environment for ourselves, our family, and as we're working together, we're creating healthier environments for our community and around the world. So Joanna, welcome to Daily with Doc. I am so excited to have you on with us again as we're continuing this series. Last week, we were like touching on different things. And then as you and I were talking, it's like, we're just touching the surface. Let's dive deep. And today, let's dive deep into the air.
Sounds great. I'm in.
Oh, fantastic. Well, so tell us a little bit about your experience as an environmental health and healthy home specialist.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction, Becca, by the way. Yes, well, air pollution is a big factor. As an environmental health consultant and researcher, there's many aspects of air pollution that I've studied for years and that they pose a great risk to our health. And many of them are, I don't believe they're given the attention they deserve. You know, a lot of them go under the radar, so to speak. And you know, they may be messing with our health as well as the ecosystems. And you know, without the education out there, there's a lot of people who aren't aware of all the different factors that might be, you know, having an effect on their health and well-being.
So, as somebody that has gone to school and has studied, and you are an ecologist, correct?
Correct.
How deep did you go in school into the different things that are in our air?
Well, my study was very personalized, and you know, I graduated from College of the Atlantic, which you know, I did a lot. I structured my own study with my. It's very, you know, I studied everything from food to air to water and the disease and interconnections. My college was wonderful in their program, which was specifically human ecology, which is a great degree that is a big picture view of the interrelationships between humans and everything in our environment, and with, other living creatures and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I've been studying this for years and gathering research and evidence on so many aspects of how all these factors interplay with our health. And that's what's, pushed me on to keep writing and writing and presenting this information as a form of a database that, is accessible for everyone, because a lot of the information is in journals and it's hidden, it's very scientific, and it's hard to decipher really what they're saying.
Mhm.
And then a lot of times you have, a lot of misleading information presented by corporations or media and marketing, which, downplays a lot of factors and just totally steers people away from what I feel are many of the real causes and triggers of so much disease that we see today.
So you're saying that the manufacturers of some of these home cleaners coming in an aerosol can may have some toxins that are actually hurting us, not just cleaning.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's there's a whole slew of ingredients and substances, especially in the new field of nanoparticles, which is relatively new. It's totally unregulated industry. There's really no record keeping. It's voluntary by the manufacturers, and there's been no testing of these substances. And they're being added to so many different formulations, from cleaning products to sunscreens to makeup and personal care products, as well as food we're eating. If you ever see titanium dioxide on a label of something, especially candy, that is a nanoparticle that's been untested. And yeah, I think there needs to be a better warning system, a better collaboration with people and scientists. There certainly are ecologists and a lot of nonprofit organizations helping to raise awareness about these issues. But what we're trying to do with Adore Your Planet is kind of become this database where it's all brought together. And that was really the purpose when I started writing my books, because when I was doing research as a student and as an author, I had to go to so many different sources to find out the truth. I mean, it was, very tedious at times, but I persisted and kept gathering more and more information and compiling this data and these facts. And so that's what we're trying to do with Adore Your Planet, is have it all collected in one place. So it's environmental health, but also the solutions. And we're not, like, I love NRDC and so many of the environmental groups, and have lobbied for them in DC before. But sometimes they're just focused on one issue in one area, and we really need something to help raise public awareness. So I'm trying to achieve that with the books, and with the organization.
But one thing that I love that what you're doing is you're bringing the human aspect into it and how these things are affecting our health.
Oh, well, that's the main thing for me. When I started writing, it was always like, okay, what is the topic? What is the chemical or what have you? And then what are the health effects? How are we exposed? And how can we protect ourselves? What are the solutions? Like, very simple, and really the health effects is so important. And trying to make people aware of those, I think, is how we can get more people inspired to make an effort to reduce their exposure.
Okay, so you had mentioned nanoparticles, titanium dioxide. Off the top of your head, I have two questions. One, why would they put that into something? And two, what is the impact on our health from it? Do you have the answers to those two questions?
I'm trying to gather the answers to those questions. Very good questions. Yeah, why are they adding it? I mean, a lot of these things, a lot of these formulations and products have been around for decades, and not the new products, but, even older products, a lot of I don't know if, whoever is producing these substances, which is another bit of a mystery, a lot of it comes from foreign countries and, again, it's totally untested. And, I'm not a nanoparticle scientist, so I wish I was, because I would love to be able to test a lot of the stuff myself and have these answers, but I have to rely on information I gather from other researchers and universities. There's a lot of research going into these, and all the data shows that these cause harm to people, yet they're still allowed in these products. There's hasn't been any halt on their production or their inclusion in products yet. Um, one of the big products out there is sunscreen that contains nanoparticles. And what they are able to say is that, oh, we've discovered these nanoparticles kill the reef and they kill ocean animals and plankton. So now a lot of sunscreens, if you see reef safe, those have no nanoparticles, and those are much healthier for people and the ocean and water systems as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be up to the individual industries to sorry, there's a plane flying by. The air and water show practice is going on right now. Um, but yeah, I think it's going to be up to the individual industries to get ahead of this problem before it becomes really big. Because I don't see it becoming, I don't think it's going to become less of an issue over time. It's only going to grow into more of a problem the more we're exposed to these substances.
Mhm.
It's kind of like when GMOs were introduced in the food supply. That was in 1996. Before that happened, we had the Delaney Amendment in place that prevented carcinogens from being added to the food supply. And in 1996, the Delaney Amendment was lifted and canceled. And the same year, GMOs became approved for addition to the food supply. So, and the FDA pretty much controls not just food, but drugs and pharmaceuticals, personal care products. And so many of these substances they list under their terminology called GRAS, GRAS, which stands for generally recognized as safe, which is,
That's
anything
a very
but
loose term.
Pardon?
That's a very loose term.
Very loose term. Yeah, it's been very exploited and abused. Originally, I believe it was created in 1958 for minor ingredients like baking soda and whatnot that was added to things kind of as like a minor ingredient. But now the industries have really abused the system, and there's like over 400 or 400,000 ingredients in this category, many of them untested. And that's it's just these corporations, the industries don't have liability, and they don't have laws keeping them, in check. I mean, they're allowed to do their own safety testing and submit that, and that's
Mhm.
all that's required. And we all know
Crazy.
they can tinker with their results and make everything appear, oh, perfectly harmless and wonderful. But it's wonderful for their profits, but not for human health, I'm afraid.
Right. Well, you said 1996.
Delaney.
The Delaney. Okay, so that's just bringing up more and more things that I want to talk about in the future. Okay, just letting you know. So as we talk about titanium dioxide, I mean, it's an oxidized form of titanium, and linking back to Dr. Wallach's research, like with the oils, they oxidize. That adds free radicals in our body,
Oh, sure.
which destroy cells. So just connecting the whole oxidation type connection. And titanium dioxide, like you said, has been used for a long time, and it brings the white color to the product. There's got to be something safer. So,
Yeah, and again, you know, what is the purpose? Why are they adding it? What benefit does it provide? I mean, I don't think there's any benefit. It's just added as a, you know, kind of like an additional ingredient, an additive. Yeah, I don't have all the answers as to why they're doing this. But I know I try to do my best to avoid them because I don't want untested, potentially,
no.
you know, disease causing substances in my body. You know, I mean, it's already hard enough trying to filter your air and breathe clean air and clean water, drink clean water. Yeah, it's like there
Yeah.
needs to be some, I think we just need, the country needs to get back to a sensible way of operating and controlling these industries that are just, you know, having a field day, making profits, you know, at our expense. And yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, you have to wonder, is it to cause disease because then their pharmaceutical branches, you know, uh, can then sell more
Benefit.
to keep us well. It's kind of what my partner says is bullets to band-aids, you know, it's just an ongoing profit machine for them
Yeah.
at our,
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's circle right around back to the air. And I know with manufacturing, I've been involved in manufacturing different industries where there are some pollutants that get put into the air, whether it's pollutants from, the burning of natural products like wood products, whether it's pollutants from the steam that's used in an explosive manufacturing facility, and they're pulling the moisture out. It's got to get released somewhere. Of course, they do have filters. What are some of the things that are most common in our air that we may not think about? Or even products that we use that are adding toxins to our air?
well, gosh, I don't know where to begin. That's a
There's a
big
lot. I know there's a
question
lot.
there. There's so many. You know, just the other day I was reading about a biosolids plant down near Augustine, Florida, St. Augustine, and you know, those facilities are just horrible, and the whole biosolid industry I stand adamantly against. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but this is the recycling of human waste, and it takes recycling a little bit too far. And,
Yeah.
yeah, the facilities are, well, if you live near the facilities, you're affected with that air pollution. But there are so many facilities, and especially if you live near them, you know, they are more problematic for those people. In Iowa was just named the United States cancer capital. And you have to, you have to, if you look at what's going on in Iowa, they have more factory farms than any other state. And they also have ethanol production facilities. Ethanol, the manufacturing ethanol is really bad for our air. Produces a lot of greenhouse gases that increase warming and carcinogens. So,
Okay.
yeah.
We just opened up a
And
can of worms for
let
me.
me add one more thing.
Go
Well,
ahead.
talking about ethanol is ethanol in gasoline actually increases smog and increases temperatures on Earth's surface, which many people aren't aware of. And gasoline is added, it's like 10% ethanol is added to gasoline these days. So is it just coincidence that we have more smog and warming temps, or is that a factor? And do we need to take the ethanol out and see if that might help things? You know, I mean, it's just not good. And if ethanol is burning our gasoline, is that adding more carcinogens to our air all over the country? I mean, you have to think if it's causing that in Iowa where these facilities are located. well, there are other places too, but mostly Iowa is #1 cancer capital. You know, I mean, it just seems like common sense. If we want to protect people's health, these things have to go or have to be greatly reduced, not so much in use.
So corn is used in a lot of the ethanol production. It's also one of the highest genetically modified,
Crop.
high production,
Yes.
quote unquote, food products in the United States, right there with soy.
Oh yeah. And animal feed.
But you're telling me that they're promoting something as being more energy efficient that's actually causing a lot of havoc.
Yeah. Well, this
Which,
isn't the only. Yeah. Yeah. There. Well, the industries. There are industries out there who are seizing on the whole idea of being green, but they're not really green. They're touting themselves as green corporations, green industry. They get a lot of funding for doing that. A lot of government subsidies go to green energy, and you know, it's all, I don't want to say it's a scam, but as an ecologist, I really don't condone ethanol. I don't. A lot of the green energy is the way they're manufacturing it is a huge problem and makes it not green. And now there might be a way to produce it, which is okay, but they're not doing that right now. So
well, it sounds like the only green thing about this is the corn plant that's growing.
not if it's genetically modified, though.
But it's genetically modified. Yes, it's a renewable resource.
Yeah, it's got that going for it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's yeah, these crops, the genetically modified crops, yeah, that's a whole nother nightmare. They have heaps of Roundup and atrazine doused on them, which is destroying our waterways, which is another contributing factor to the drinking water in Iowa is tainted with a lot of this stuff from the factory farms and the pesticides. And I'm sure that's making Iowa the cancer capital of America. And there's a few other states which are right behind it with water, rivers, and lakes that humans are not even allowed to swim in. Or if they, I'm not even sure many people know about that, but I'm thinking of Indiana, for instance, where they have a ban on public swimming in any lakes or rivers. But most people aren't aware of that because there isn't, you know, they don't advertise that. But Indiana has tons of factory farms as well, huge facilities. Factory farms are also called CAFOs, or concentrated animal feeding operations. They have, you know, they house like 40,000 animals in indoor warehouses, basically, that they call barns, but they're concrete floors. The animals, you know, never see, you know, the
Daylight.
real grass
Daylight.
under their feet. I mean, they're raised horribly. They're fed horribly. They're fed GMO corn and soy with all those pesticides, and they're given tons of antibiotics because they're very unhealthy animals because they don't have any fresh air or good water, or and it's horrendous. And then their waste at these facilities, the waste is pumped into huge reservoirs on site that are not regulated, or you know, there's no EPA oversight. They're given exemptions, pollution exemptions, and they leak. They leak into the waterways surrounding them, and they emit very noxious gases into the air that affects anyone living nearby. So it's really horrible. I really don't like supporting factory farms, and I encourage everyone, you know, to think about where they're getting their eggs and their meat and their milk, because you know, it matters. It really matters for our health and the planet. You know, we
Okay,
got to
so
stop supporting these industries.
right now you had mentioned that you have been a lobbyist. Okay.
Not technically, but yes, I was like a week-long lobbyist for the Wilderness Week in DC. They have it every March. I've done it a few years.
Okay. Now, from my understanding, yes, we vote at the polls, but we also vote with our dollars.
Definitely.
Now, reading labels and refusing to purchase those products that have on the label, I saw this, it was even on M&Ms and Reese's peanut butter cups, contains genetically modified organisms.
I
Why?
haven't seen that on the label, genetically. Oh, well, that's GMOs. That's not like living things, but that would be bioengineered food.
So we've got
You
to
never
find the
know. They
healthy
might be adding
option.
something else.
They might be adding something else, yes. But really paying attention, folks, to the labels on the food that you're buying. And Joanna, share with us a little bit, what would you look for when you're going grocery shopping that would say, yes, I would buy this, or no, my dollars aren't going to go that way?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been eating organically since 1991, and I really look for
Mhm.
certified organic food, or at the farmers markets. There's lots of local farmers who use integrated pest management, which is a very, it's like the least uh, they might use some natural toxins, but not like the typical pesticides. I try to avoid anything genetically modified, and now even conventionally farmed, because I'm afraid that has biosolids on it. Biosolids are a really horrible fertilizer that's being used all over the country, and that you know infuses food with forever chemicals and even parasites, because the process of cleaning the sewage is not removing a lot of stuff that it should. And I mean, it's just crazy that they're adding it to food. I mean, that would be more sensible to use for fuel. Make corn organic again, get the pesticides out, and then yeah, use the poop for gasoline. That might be safer for all of us. Not on the
Well,
fields. But
yeah,
yeah,
so when
I look for certified organic,
we're,
and I must say, um, certified organic farms cannot use biosolids. It is not allowed. So that's one way I know I'm avoiding biosolid fertilizer and toxic pesticides and synthetic fertilizer. And for food, yeah, if I buy meat, I always like, organically raised. I'm not gonna, when I go out to eat, I don't, I'm much more lenient these days. Way back when, I used to be a real pain because I was very, very strict on what I would eat. But going out, I do make some exceptions. But at home, it's all organic, organically raised meat, farm raised.
Mhm.
I don't want anything factory farm. And yeah, I think we really need to do a better effort at labeling what is safe and what's not safe, because a lot of people, the labels are so small now, and like nanoparticles, there's no requirement for them to even be mentioned on labels. So there could be products where where they're in there, and we wouldn't even know it by looking at a label.
Well, and where they're using the scientific name for some of the common products, it's hard to know, okay, is that scientific name actually a
Yeah.
healthy product, or is it something that's just being added?
Right, right, right. Yeah, I try to look for words I can pronounce, and common items that are natural, just basic. And I do like them to say organic, organic
Yeah.
flour, organic butter. Yeah, as far as dairy, I definitely avoid anything that's not organic dairy or butter, because that will have GMO hormones, RBST and RBGH, which cause a lot of problems, obesity and hormone havoc for one.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, milk, I've worked with families that milk was staple. And we've changed the milk that they've been feeding their children or giving to their children. And the transformation in the child's body just by making that one change is amazing. I mean, you go from kiddos that are like 30, 40 pounds overweight and, you know, boys who have breasts and little girls who have a lot more endowment than they should.
Yeah.
Just by changing the milk that they're giving their kids. It's bringing them back into balance and where they should be.
So important. It's so important. So important for parents to know to avoid it. And many don't. You know, I was a teacher in Chicago public schools for quite a few years. And yeah, the food in the cafeteria is, you know, fortunately the milk is not organic. So it's like they're just, you know, it's not like it used to be when we were growing up, you know, an apple was an apple, milk was milk. Now with all the things they're adding to the normal food, now to really avoid those chemicals, you have to get organic. And really those things with the chemicals should be labeled. Organic is still natural food like it always was. It's like the stuff they've adulterated should be labeled and more expensive, in my opinion. But we're backwards right now.
It is backwards. And think about it. When you and I were going to school, the food was actually made in the kitchen at our school.
Yes, it was. And it smelled
with real ingredients.
Yes. Yes, it was. I remember today. It was always exciting.
Oh, I remember too. There was a little bit of a time where my mom worked in the kitchen, and I loved it when they had certain dishes because it tasted good.
Yes.
It was filling without making you feel bloated, so I could still do basketball and not, you know, ready to take a nap instead of go to practice.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah. Now, I want to circle back to those biosolids. Okay, using them as fertilizers. Folks, you know, we're all about nutrition, right? We live in a sick world. Through Dr. Wallach's research, he has discovered there's over 900 poor health conditions directly linked to nutritional deficiencies. So if we're taking waste from sick individuals who are drastically nutrient deficient, putting it on our food, how is that making our food more nutritious or even edible? Because like you said, they're not taking out the chemicals that are added because of pharmaceuticals. So that's like getting into the soil. The plants, they don't have a defense mechanism of what they're taking up through their roots. If it's in the ground, they're going to suck it up. If it's not in the ground, they can't suck it up. That's why the food is nutritionally deficient now because of over farming and the minerals being in ripples, like, or, you know, veins, like chocolate ripple ice cream or gold and silver. So some things, folks, don't make sense. And you need to be aware that they are happening so that you can make wise decisions. And that's part of why we do our programs, is to give you more information and tools in your toolbox to help you become a smarter consumer with the end result of having a better health journey. Okay. Joanna, is there anything more that you want to add? I know there's a lot more we can add about things that are adding toxins into our environment, like aerosols, whether it's the aerosol can from a hairspray or the aerosols that are being sprayed in the air. You want to touch on that a bit?
Well, one thing in the summer, I think that if you're not using a non-nano sunscreen, using the spray sunscreens is not a good idea. Again, get reef safe sunscreen. But yeah, there's lots of aerosols. There's a lot of questions about aerosols in the sky. I just came across well, NASA reported that they have discovered exotic metals, are those nanoparticles, in the stratosphere embedded in sulfuric acid. They did an aerosol study. They reported on this in October 2023. They installed a device that they created to capture the air in the stratosphere, and they're finding these peculiar metals and nanoparticles up in the stratosphere of all places where these can enlarge the hole over the ozone layer. I'm sorry, the hole in the ozone layer over the Arctic and Antarctica, which will inadvertently cause temperatures to rise because more UV radiation will be getting in through this protective shield that's getting whittled away by pollution. So yeah, that's concerning because that's the effect of aerosols is they they may linger in the air around us only for a minute or two, but they don't just evaporate and go nowhere. The particles are invisible like most toxins, and they evaporate up into and get up into the sky and way up there, and there's even they talk about solar radiation management. The government's looking into doing that to dim the amount of sunlight reaching Earth, and they're planning to use aerosols. This is talked about. There's one of the physicists in charge of this program. He was at Harvard. He is now at University of Chicago, and he is very excited about this whole potential of in an effort to, as they claim, slow down global warming and climate change. Like they don't think people have the capacity to reduce pollution on our own and reduce emissions. So, they're looking at ways that they may have to intervene by reducing the sunlight reaching the earth, which I think is one of the scariest ideas, we could ever do, because they don't know what could happen, what kind of consequences might result, or from health effects to changes in weather patterns to, so I find that very, very dangerous. I actually wrote a screenplay kind of depicting what could happen as, because I have been told by some people that instead of writing about these things, because I don't want to, I want to help people, not scare them. So I've been encouraged to write stories instead of always reporting things as the facts. So yeah, I actually wrote a screenplay which kind of involves this whole scenario with aerosols in the atmosphere and what could happen if they pursue their plans for solar radiation management, which is a fancy term. It's a term that's evolved over the years. It was geoengineering, but now they're saying, oh, this is geoengineering to cool the planet. So they're enveloping it in this whole way, this green method that they have to use to protect people. But yeah, I don't think adding, and as the physicist from Harvard, he was on Colbert Report in 2013 talking about this whole plan, and it's sulfuric acid that they're going to use. And they're going to use planes and spray it in the stratosphere to cool the planet, to dim the sunlight. Now, in 2013, he said they weren't doing it yet, and it was all hypothetical. But he was very animated and excited in his interview with Stephen Colbert about the potential. And yeah, I mean, sulfuric acid is like acid rain. It does cause respiratory problems, cardiac problems. Really bad for anyone. It's bad for breathing. And yeah, I find it very interesting that NASA found sulfuric acid in the stratosphere embedded with what they called exotic metals. But they had a very convenient explanation saying that it's because of satellites and aerospace. It's from the rockets going, into outer space and back into the atmosphere, which might be plausible. But I do think we need to ask more questions. We can't just assume, what we're being told is always the truth. And, I mean, there's many times where governments and corporations have sold things and done things and played them off as safe and healthy and not presenting any health harm. And then years later, like cigarettes, for instance, you find out, oh, yeah, oh, we did know it caused cancer. We did know, but, years later, cancers later, then they finally take action.
I mean, reducing the amount of sun, it goes through my mind, all the things that affects the body's ability to absorb specific nutrients, plants' ability to be able to grow healthy, getting those phytonutrients.
What about all the people with solar panels? I mean, it's just, it can just cause so much harm in so many ways. And that they're even thinking that this could be a good idea boggles my mind completely.
It's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. Well, we have some hands going up.
Who will thrive without much sun? It's robots.
Robots, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go to AJ. AJ, what question are you bringing? And then next we have Keely.
Okay, so I got two-part question. This will be very, very easy for you since you have Marilyn to help us, just record what's being said. If you were in charge, what are the steps you would take to make things better?
Oh, I love that question. Oh my goodness. Well, I would stop the things, put a moratorium on the things that are causing harm or are untested. Like I would immediately put a hold on production and manufacturing of those particular things until further testing is done and they're proven safe. But I would really try to implement a public health database that's easily accessible for people to look up everything, where it has a guide for them, like what is safe to buy, what personal care products are good to use, what they need to avoid, and all the health effects and why it's so important to avoid those things, because it's all about reducing our exposure to toxins, to protect your family, your pets. These things are, so yeah, I mean, I would Forever Chemicals, Gen X, anything made by DuPont, basically, or maybe 3M as well, and Bayer, no longer allowed in America. I would say you're out of here. I mean, the United Nations has come out with reports saying we can support the growing population with sustainable farming without pesticides and synthetic fertilizer. I think that needs to be taken seriously. We need to stop cowing down to the industries that are, and their lobbyists who have control of our government. I would, any politician that has connections with these industries that are poisoning us, I would replace them. I would, I mean, that's just on the top of my list, I guess.
You didn't say Cargill and Archer Daniels Midland.
Well, that's the animal feed companies, and yeah, the sugar producers. Yeah, definitely, they're in there.
So Hunter's saying trying to source good natural food and drinks is a full-time job. It takes shopping at a lot of different places and individuals to get from each place. So I guess in your database, you should kind of include some of those other things. And guess what? You got some friends here who can help you make that a reality. And
Let's do
then secondarily, what do you think about chemtrails?
Oh, well, that is that's a big question. Well, those are, if they're happening, it's aerosols, but chemtrails has a lot of I think they're, these are, well, this has evolved. Chemtrails is something, that people talked about 20 years ago, 10 years ago. I think they've evolved into what became geoengineering. And now I'm afraid that's pretty much what solar radiation management is, that they're cloaking as a green way to cool the planet. However, I don't have proof. I haven't been able to go up in an airplane and see who's doing this, what they're doing. I have seen lots of reports. Kristen Megan is a whistleblower who used to work for the Air Force. She claimed she, saw all these vats of toxic chemicals they were bringing on, the Air Force Base to be used on planes. I don't know. I don't know if there was a big experiment going on with chemtrails. I don't think they've ever really been proven. I know I've seen stuff in the sky in Chicago and places I've traveled, which, lingering contrails. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of explanations saying, oh, that's just the contrails and water vapor, and it's because of the weather at that condition and the temperature up there that they aren't dissipating. But I have to say, from my own visual, I've seen a lot of stuff that's very unusual, over Chicago. Well, I do have to mention when the one physicist from Harvard moved to University of Chicago, where he now leads the client science department. It was Easter Sunday, like 2 or 3 years ago, and we were out in the park, and the sky was lit up like I had never seen it over Chicago, like crisscross trails, X's, big white X's all over the city, from the south side where we were all the way up north. And it was like, a lot of smog over that area. Like, cause again, I don't know if it might just have been a coincidence, but those, are said to trap heat and they trap pollution. So it really makes it hard for fresh air to break through those, stuff that was coming out of an airplane. I don't know what it is, if it's, there's a lot of theories out there about chemtrails, but I do know now that they do talk about geoengineering as a way to cool the planet. And that's what they're now calling SRM, or solar radiation management. And that's what this physicist, David Keith, talked about on the Colbert Show, about using sulfuric acid. And he even admitted, we're going to put more pollution in the sky, and it may kill more people, but it will have the positive effect of cooling the planet and lowering temperatures. So I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me. I don't approve of it. I think it's a really dangerous direction we're going if the government really even considers doing it. And I think they might already be testing it. That's my guess, but they're denying it and they're debunking it. So I can't prove it myself. I would love to be up in an airplane and have the firsthand experience. Oh, and they are saying now, what I've heard is it's not planes spraying. They're actually using drones. It's unmanned spacecraft that they're utilizing. So anything's possible with these big companies. They have a lot of money, and the philanthropists who are behind a lot of these ideas. And there are some big players. It's all in my screenplay. I'd love to share it with you. Make it a film.
Yeah.
One can
So
see the story. But it
we
ends with a
definitely,
good story.
when it's
The story ends in a good way, I have to say.
very good. Very good. So when that screenplay is available, and if it is, please let us know so we can help get that word out as well. Let's go to one more question. And wait a minute, Keely, how come you put your hand down? Did she get, where's she at?
Maybe she.
Keely, can you unmute yourself, my dear? I see you're unmuted. Can we hear you? I am not hearing her. Oh, I knew that was going to be a really good question too.
You said she can't in the chat box.
Okay, so Keely, you are showing to be unmuted now. Now you're muted. Try unmuting.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have more sort of as a statement of one of the questions that was asked earlier on, and that was in and around corporations. I come out of the steel industry, and as part of our strategic planning, we actually planned for the emissions. So it's the government that allows us and tells us what our price is going to be for our carbon footprint. It determines what our emissions are going to be. So if we're a steel manufacturer and we're burning, coal and coke and natural gas and the rest of it, those particular chemical reactions of converting it get released as emissions. And they actually take the square footage of the mill from one end to the other, and any emission, whether it's in the waterway or whatever, and we pay for it in a tax. And that tax goes to the government. So if we want to really look at who's in control of all of it, if they aren't managing those boundaries, then we can pollute. It's basically what it comes down to. And then we go through a verification of reporting, and then there's a whole price mechanism that we work into a business plan. So there's a lot of things that we only do in those particular industries what we're allowed to do. And if they really wanted to do something, they would slam it down. But there's too much money to make as part of the business plan.
Yeah.
So basically, they can do whatever they want. They just have to pay a little extra.
That's correct. So if your emissions change, or if you're rolling more steel, so to speak, then your emissions are going to basically create. They also give you permits based on your percentage of emission for the amount of CO2. And then you have a trading, it's basically a tax, and it could be a payment. And then what they do is they penalize you. If you go over those particular incentives, then or they call it failing to comply. What it does is they give you incentives then, like in a steel mill, then you would use like a different kind of a furnace. You would use an electric arc furnace, or you would, use different kinds you would change part of your metallurgical properties. It's all dependent on what you're going to roll, the amount, because that production level determines an emission. It doesn't matter if it's Ford, GM, Chrysler, we're all the same. We all have to pay it as part of, and there's also runoff fees for polluting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the carbon trading system, which is nothing. It's no pollution control whatsoever. Companies basically pay for the pollution they create, and they're theoretically, planting forests somewhere else to make up the difference. I mean, it's the stupidest program I think that exists right now with, I mean, it's not a pollution control system, and they have all these corporations doing all this
the largest
I was working for a construction company a few years ago, and we had to do this whole analysis, cost consulting analysis for the buildings, and just see how much we're using, what the carbon tax is, and it's not a pollution control method at all.
It's a money making. It's a money making proposition, because the CEOs get together every year. The largest companies in the area get together, and they go and they negotiate it.
Yeah, it was presented in the Kyoto Protocol, I believe, when the nations were meeting. They were planning to really do this whole cut pollution globally. And it was suggested, well, how about we just have the corporations pay for their pollution? We'll call it carbon trading, trade pollution, and they'll plant some carbon somewhere else. And it's just, it's only for profit. It really is, exactly like you said.
Yeah, it's a
So I have
shame.
Keely, we had a question come up wanting to know, with your knowledge, could they make steel without having the pollutants and emissions? I'm sure it would cost a little bit more, but is that something that's possible?
Probably not, just because you're dealing with iron ores and everything comes in a powder. You know, so I mean, yeah, you can have emission tanks and that kind of stuff, but it's really going to depend. I mean, it's a whole process run over. I mean,
They just
it's
need
really
to-
a metallurgic. It's you know, here's where your metallurgists have to really come in. And then because you're not just dealing with the raw material, then you're dealing with how it's processed and its technology.
Right.
Yeah, they could just install pollution control equipment.
Well, they do have some of that, but it's still, I mean, if you've ever been in a mill, it's one of the most amazing places to be. But everything's airborne.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
Mhm.
It's just the way it goes. And I mean, it's
Well,
not, it might not be the most perfect thing, but it is what it is right now. I mean, the technology has improved. You don't need half the amount of people to do it. I mean, but you still have that whole technology piece, and it's super expensive. You know, you're not talking about 250 million, you're talking about 500, 800 to $1 billion. I mean, it's just, the technology is so expensive. There was one other issue I just wanted to share in reference to the organics. Somebody once told me, it was a regeneration farmer. We used to do, you know, where you did all of your own hydroponics. And he says, unless you're growing it, you really can't guarantee that it's organic, because you still have the winds, you still have the water runoffs and everything else. And he says, but that's about the best you can do. We did a test the last 3 years just here in our area, which is outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And we started growing 12 hydroponic, you know, tanks and stuff above ground. And we noticed that things weren't growing. And this is before we used Doc's, you know, ground, you know, what do you call it that he sells in the barrels?
the
The
blooming
the
minerals.
minerals. Yeah, the minerals for the ground. We noticed that there was a film on the plants that were growing as they were growing, and they weren't growing. They weren't where they were supposed to be, you know, in reference to that particular time in the dirt. So we decided to put tarps over them just to see what was happening at night. And we did realize that at night they were dropping, the chemtrails were dropping. We had a couple farmers that actually took that stuff and had it tested, and there were chemicals that were being dropped on what was being grown. So we do know that they are dropping something. They're no longer maybe doing the chemtrails during the day, but they are running during the night. Once we put the minerals in the ground, and then we would let the sunlight, you know, stay during the day. At night, we would still cover them, you know, or whatever, and poke holes in them. Everything started to grow according to the way it was. The other thing is that HARP has been responsible for already doing the blinding of the sun. And they know it. It's actually been documented and it's out there. So just a note of edification.
Appreciate
All
that.
right. Yeah, thank you so much, Keely, for bringing in your wisdom as well to this show, and edifying what Joanna is saying. So thank you, folks. We are over time. Let's go ahead and get the co-hosts up on the screen. Next week, we will be talking more about water when it comes to the toxins in the water with Ms. Joanna Kappele. Thank you so much, Joanna, for being on with us again and bringing this series to bring more awareness as to what's really going on around us so that we can make better choices in what we do in general as individuals and communities. I mean, I'm already planning on a trip before this show to go get my stuff for my autumn gardening. And now I want to go now.
Well, thank you so much, Becca.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you, Becca and team. It's been really lovely being here with you today. And yeah, I look forward to meeting again, talking about water.
Awesome. Thank you. Folks, you have been watching the Daily with Doc show, and here with us today Well, before I go there, this program is for educational purposes only. It is not meant to take the place of your primary care physician, nor is it meant to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease. The information that is shared in this program, again, is for educational purposes only. And I hope we planted some seeds to get you looking and digging deeper into what is really going on around you, in your environment, in your food, and what you put in your mouth and on your skin. Today, we have with us our co-host, Sherry, who is part of the tech crew. Thank you, Sherry, as she is watching to make sure the streams continue. Thank you, thank you. We have Ruth Allen, my executive production manager, who is putting the Zoom stream with the graphics and pushing it out onto what Sherry is watching for the different platforms. Thank you, Ruth Allen. We have Rod, who is out watching for comments and questions, and also here in the Zoom room. Thank you, Rod. We have Marilyn, which, folks, if you're not joining us live and you haven't sent us a email at zoom@dailywithdoc.com requesting your invitation to the Zoom, you're missing out, because Ms. Marilyn does a fantastic job at putting notes into the chat. Then it's only available here live during the show. So thank you so much, Marilyn, for all that you do. I hope you are taking your Gluco-Gel and your CM cream, your OsteoFX and your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and making sure you keep those joints lubricated and nutrients throughout your body, as all of us do. So thank you, Marilyn. And we have Albert joining us from South Africa, letting people in, as he is our gatekeeper and helping to make sure people get in a timely fashion. And also, we do have a call team for people who are not already working with somebody. In the beginning, I said, if somebody referred you to this program, get back with them. I mean it. But if you're not working with somebody, we do have a call team at 855-949-3377. If you're a night owl and you call, you will probably get, or possibly get, because some of us are night owls too, an amazing South African accent, and that is Albert. So thank you, Albert, for helping us bring 24/7 phone team coverage. And last but not least, we have AJ, who is our digital marketing director. He is responsible for getting us out onto the different platforms and pushing us to greater heights and reaching more and more people. Thank you, AJ, for all that you do. And thank you, everybody, for investing this hour plus into your own health and wellness and knowledge, putting more tools in your toolbox. Share it with somebody else. Because as we all are putting tools in our toolboxes, getting smarter, doing things that are better for our health and wellness, that's how we're going to be combating all of the things that are coming against us, trying to keep us down, break us down. And let's just stop there. My name is Becca Dukes. I am proud to be the producer and also the hostess of this program. And if you would like more information about becoming a certified holistic health coach, the Institute of Holistic Health has an amazing program. It is completely online. It's 100% at your own pace. And it's the most affordable program out there, folks. You're getting more with solutions that you can obtain to help yourself and those around you. And as you're doing that, and we're doing it, we're helping the world create a better health journey. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you have questions at dailywithdoc.com, as we will be taking more questions with pharmacist Ben Fuchs on Friday. And then again on, is it Monday or Tuesday, AJ? With pharmacist Ben Bites and AJ. So, AJ, you have your hand up. What am I forgetting?
You're not forgetting anything. I just want to clarify something. Folks, you need to send an email to zoom@dailywithdoc.com in order to retain your access to the Zoom. In about a week or so, if you have not emailed zoom@dailywithdoc.com, you will not be able to get into the Zoom room, and we love having all of you folks in the Zoom room, so please send that email.
Yeah, and that is for security purposes, folks, as we want to make sure that we keep this as a safe environment for everybody without any type of distractions for the hosts, the co-hosts, or the guests. So that is something that unfortunately we do have to implement and want to not cut anybody out. So for those of you who love being here, please email us zoom@dailywithdoc.com. Until next time, bye for now. Thanks again, Joanna. And thank you to our live audience who show up and add in their questions and comments and just continue to help us create a resource that is used and spread to all of their clients, friends, families. I love it. That's why I do what I do, to get better. Bye for now. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.